Just mute yourself. Just mute yourself. You're good.
This meeting is being recorded. Good morning, everyone, fellow Toastmasters. And I'm not sure if we have any guests. Let me look around.
I think it's all members right now.
I think it's all members.
Yeah.
So, good morning, everyone. Let's start right away with the inspiration. Margot Sue Bittner is our inspirer this morning. Margot.
Good morning. With the theme of the Olympics, I have a blessing for today. May each of us have confidence in our ability to do our best and try our hardest. May each of us be protected from stress and injury. May each of us be guided to listen, to cooperate, to be patient, and to learn. And may sportsmanship always be more important than the score. May these lessons brighten our day. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Now, next on the agenda will be our pledge this morning. Everyone, please remove your caps. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Got a little bit of something going on here, cold, I think. Anyway, do we have any announcements this morning?
I do. Good morning, everybody.
Okay.
As your cruise director, that Dave calls me your cruise director, and social activities now and again. This evening, for anyone who remembers, we announced, and I also put it on email and Facebook if you haven't seen it. But tonight in Lockport is free Shakespeare at the Keenan Center. Eric is going to get there probably first. Bring a lawn chair or blanket. The doors open at 6. It's out in the Daisy Garden. The weather is going to be nice today compared to the rain in the past week or so around here, at least. So anyway, it's an abridged version of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. So it's a comedy for 1 hour from 7 to 8 p.m. So whether you're a fan of Shakespeare or you're just not sure, this is a great way of getting into what Shakespeare is really all about. It's not what your high school English teacher maybe told you, unless you had a fantastic high school English teacher. Most kind of made it dry, unfortunately. But Shakespeare can have some amazing plays on language, and I would love to see you all there. It's like bring a cooler, bring a picnic kind of a thing. Again, the show starts at 7 p.m. at the Keenan Center in Lockport, Midsummer Night's Dream, with the same folks that do the Shakespeare in Delaware Park. They've been doing the traveling of that. So thanks. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Kate. And now I will hand it over to Mike Licata. Our theme today is the Olympics, so I'm sure we're going to get some interesting background from Mike. So have at it, Mike. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Florio. I'm not sure what your role is with the club, but I want to thank everyone this morning. I think we do have a guest that snuck in this morning. If I look at the chat correctly, I want to welcome Esther back, and I want to welcome Therese back as well. So if this is your first time, welcome to Toastmasters. My role this morning as Toastmaster is to come up with a theme. So being timely this time of year, I've decided to pick the Olympics, which actually starts a week from tomorrow. And the 33rd Olympiad will be in Paris, France. And it's also that biannual event that you get thrust into for 2 weeks every 2 years. So with that, I'll get right into our job close this morning. We're going to turn it back over to our immediate past president, Kate Orr, who is our word master, our master, and our grammarian this morning. Kate, what is the order of the day, and can you explain your other roles?
Good morning, everyone. Oh, I'm so glad to see that everyone turned out in the last few minutes. We had a few more folks join us this morning. I like to, when I am the WAG master, the word, we have 3 separate roles that many clubs merge together: a word master, an master, and a grammarian. So I'm keeping track of our grammar, our strengths and our weaknesses, hopefully mostly strengths today. and eliminating ahs, ums, and pregnant pauses, which means longer pause than necessary. Some pauses are good. Let your audience process what you're saying, right? Except that inappropriate language or lots of ums and ahs can detract from us as a speaker and not give us the credibility that maybe we really deserve. And we're all here to practice this. And then I also give a word of the day. When I'm word master, I like to give 2 words of the day. I think we are up for the challenge, and you can decide whether during your speaking to share a word, especially during table topics, which is the impromptu speaking. So you try to use at least one of the words of the day. I will then put them in the chat so you can look at the meaning and digest if you would like. To tie into the theme of the Olympics today, both are connected. Underdog is the first word of the day. Underdog. What is an underdog? A competitor thought to have little chance of winning a contest or competition. An underdog used in a sentence. There are probably many underdogs coming to Paris or already there that we don't even know their names, but may be famous soon. Underdogs. The next is more of a phrase than a word. And because we're going to Paris, it is a French phrase. Joie de vivre is how the French would say it. Joie de vivre is how Americans sometimes say it. But joie de vivre literally means joy of life. I will use it in an explanation. It usually means cheerful, generally a happiness. It can refer to the joie de vivre of conversation or eating. People who enjoy life in a spirited and cheerful way. Sometimes people describe me as having a joie de vivre, a joy of life. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kate. And next, I will go to Sylvia Baptiste. I saw her earlier. She is our quote master this morning.
Yes, I am here, Mike. I have 2 quotes. The first one is from Dawn Fraser. She's an Australian swimmer. And her quote starts as, "The Olympics remains the most challenging search for excellence that exists in sport and maybe in life itself." And the second one isn't really a quote, it is an oath that Special Olympics athletes take. "Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave enough in the attempt." Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Sylvia. And I'll go next to one of our newer Toastmasters. Our gesture this morning is Zach Brado.
Thank you, Mike. Last week, the joke was a bit on me because I didn't know the difference between inspiration and quote master, but now I do. And now I see that I can accept the roles in my email as well. So learning curve for me, but I'll get there. My joke today, there is going to be a grammatical error in my punchline, Kate, so don't yell at me, please. But what is a pirate's favorite letter? Everyone usually says R.
R.
You think it's the R, but it be the C they really love. Thank you. Here's your Toastmaster.
The landlubber.
Thank you, Zach. And our next, I will go to our quizmaster this morning, Dave Channon. He will explain his role this morning and what he's looking out for. Dave, you have to unmute yourself.
Unmute, Dave.
You hear me now?
We
Yep.
can.
Good
And poor
morning,
Dave
everybody.
didn't get the Zoom training I offered, and then I bailed on him. So he's still
That's
working that out.
okay,
That's what we're
Kate.
here for.
I forgive you, Kate. I'll be okay. I unmuted myself and I've already had my morning coffee. So now I'm ready as quizmaster to write down a few tidbits from everybody's speech, including table topics and the regular speeches. And then later on, I'm going to be the teacher and I'm going to ask you questions. And let's see how many people can catch different parts of the speeches. That's my job. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dave. And I will next go to Marty Johnson. I think he was in earlier, and he is our timer this morning. Marty, if you could please explain your role for our guests.
Good morning,
Senior.
Mike, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guest. As timer this morning, I'll be carefully paying attention to the time of all portions of the meeting for speaking. Specifically, number one, table topics. Our impromptu portion of the meeting is 1.5 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. And I do have colored cards, and I know a lot of times we have an override, and one of our program guides, our Zoom master, may help out in the scenario. However, at 1.5 minutes in table topics, I have a green card, and I will raise that in addition to the light that most likely comes on. 1.5 minutes, a green card, and at 2 minutes, the yellow card, and at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, that's the maximum. It's a 15-second buffer, the red card. And the same holds true in timing for the prepared speeches. Most are 5 to 7 minutes unless noted otherwise. They're at 5 minutes, the green light or the green card. At 6 minutes, the yellow. And at 7, the red card. And then there's a 30-second buffer. 7 minutes and 30 seconds is the maximum, and 4 minutes and 30 seconds is the minimum. And then for our evaluations, where we have feedback on the prepared speeches, the timing is 2 to 3 minutes. Again, the green light or the green card at 2 minutes, at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the yellow light and or the yellow light at 2:30, at 3 minutes, the red light and the red card, and the buffer for the maximum in the evaluation is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Back to you, Mike, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Marty. Now, I will also find one of our last role holders that gives a report at the end of the meeting is our general evaluator. And this morning, my general evaluator will be Tracy Farrell to explain her role and what she's looking for. Tracy.
Thank you, Mike. So my job today is to evaluate the meeting overall. So I'm going to watch what Mike is doing, how he conducts the meeting, and how it progresses. And then my job is also to look at the the evaluators to see how they evaluated our speeches today. I can tell you so far, Mike's done a great job. We've been organized. He called me or texted me earlier this week and said, "Are you going to show up?" So he's organized, he's ready to go, and he's got a great topic. So we'll talk to you at the end of the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Tracy. I found in doing my research for this meeting how these Olympics came to be, and it was announced in 2017 that Paris was getting the 2024 Olympics, and the other finalist, the city of Los Angeles, is getting the 2028 Summer Olympics. I always find it fascinating to figure out how a city does when it goes and tries to sell the International Olympic Committee on how to get an event and put on such an event as this, because it's an undertaking and you're the spotlight of the athletic world for 2 weeks. I also read somewhere that in my research of the games, these French games are going to cost 9 billion euros to put on. So I hope, and I'm sure the city of Paris and the country of France will definitely see a really solid return on investment. That just seems like a lot of money for such pomp and circumstance. But when the eyes of the world are on you for 2 weeks, it's important to put on a really good show. And with that, I will now turn it over to Dr. Gerald Stevens, who is our table topics master, which is extemporaneously speaking. And I'd like just to remind all of our contestants to either use the word joie de vivre or underdog as part of their speech this morning. I'll turn everything over to Dr. Stevens.
Thank you so much. My whole life, I've been an underdog, and I love underdog stories, for sure. Larry McKenzie, do you have a favorite Olympic memory, where it happened, and does it involve an underdog? Larry McKenzie, how did you feel when it happened as well?
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity this morning to talk about underdogs. I have been experiencing the joie de vivre this whole summer, the joy of life. And as an underdog, one of the things that I really enjoyed, there's a couple of, one in the Winter Olympics, one in the Summer Olympics. The Winter Olympics, I used to love that the speed skating because they go so fast around that short circle or oval, and it's amazing because their skates are probably as long as my arm, and they're skating around as fast as they can, and they're barely touching the ground. I was always wondered, could I do that? No, I don't think so. But one of the things that I did enjoy is I enjoy swimming. Mark Spitz used to be a wonderful, wonderful Olympian. And then along came Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps was pretty much, I don't know if he was an underdog at any time in his life, because if you looked at his training regime to get into the Olympics, he was eating an enormous amount of food. He was eating probably somewhere between 12 and 15,000 calories a day just to be able to have the energy with what he was doing. And he set so many Olympic records that it was just amazing with his speed. But he not only won those races and the gold medals, he also set world records. Now, a lot of underdogs that also were swimmers have always tried to attempt to basically beat his records. Has that happened? So I look at that as something, as a challenge for all of us, and everything that we do every day is, are we Olympians? No, but we can always try to do the very best at what we do on a daily basis. And who knows, sometimes we might even win the red card.
Thank you, Larry. Our second table topics participant, if he is willing, is Len Thornton. Len, I happen to know that you like running, and I suspect that you've probably been in some high school and or post-high school events over the years. Would you ever envision yourself or had a dream back in the day of being in the Olympics, and what event would it be? And if not, you can make up a scenario where you actually became an Olympic winner. Go ahead, Len.
I do have a joie de vivre in running. It's mostly just to keep everything moving at my age. I look forward to the Summer Olympics every 4 years, mainly to watch the running and the swimming. Those take so much stamina and so much training and conditioning, something I'm certainly not committed enough to do. So you would have never seen me there. But I took up running, not in high school, but actually in college, that obligatory recreation course you need the 1 credit for. And it was called running. Essentially, the coach said, all you have to do, we meet out at the track, is run a mile and predict your time within a certain number of seconds. So dutifully, twice a week, I would show up and run around the track, and figure out what kind of time. Number one, I had to finish a mile, and then you have to figure out your time. So that was an easy A. But that planted a seed. And I started running 5K road races, which always have a party at the end with beer. So I had a little incentive to get it over with. I was much younger then, and I could crank out a 5K a lot quicker than I do now. But I still enjoy heartily getting up, meeting my running crew up in Newfane at 7 a.m. any given weekend or weekday, and doing about 2.5, 3 or 5 miles, whatever we feel like doing that day. And the accomplishment I get and seeing the number of steps I have on my Fitbit that day, that's my joie de vivre, Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you, Len. I would like to see if a new Toastmaster or a guest would want to participate in this. Therese, would you be interested in doing table topics, or is it too soon? You just want to just observe things.
Can I say too soon?
It can be. It can very well be. That's perfectly fine. Sometimes we have people that are just like, okay, I'm not ready yet. And I'm glad you were honest about that.
Okay.
How about Esther? Esther, would you be willing to do table topics today?
Sure.
So Esther, I very much like the scenario that I've given the other two Toastmasters. I'll let you choose, you being a newer Toastmaster. Do you have a favorite Olympic memory that comes to mind? Do you follow the Olympics? Would you like to even develop a new Olympic category? So you can go with whatever you want there.
Okay. So as far as having a favorite Olympic memory, I have an uncle who is a sports writer. He actually worked for the Baltimore Sun when I was a child. And when I was very young, too young to remember the games myself, he would go and he would cover the Olympic Games, and he would bring me back one of the, commemorative medals that you could get as somebody who was at the games to help commemorate them. And so while I myself was too young to remember those specific games, as a child, I loved getting those commemorative medals out and playing with them and pretending that I myself had been at the games and had won them. And then as I got older, I enjoyed watching the games myself, of course. I really loved during the winter games watching ice skating with my family. And during the summer games, swimming was one of my favorite events to watch as well. And while I've never had Olympic aspirations myself, I would be way too much of an underdog for anybody to root for. I would be one of the people that they could watch in comparison to see how well the athletes are truly performing in contrast to what a normal person could do. It has always been a favorite pastime to watch the Olympics myself.
Thank you, Esther. At this point, I would like to get a Wordmaster report. Wagmaster.
I would love to say that all three of our competitors today qualified. Great work, everyone. Larry used both words. Len said joie de vivre twice, and Esther slipped it in at the end. Great work, everybody.
Nice. Our timer, Marty, how did our participants do in regards to time?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I'm pleased to announce all three participants in table topics qualified. Larry McKenzie, 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Len Thornton, 2 minutes and 1 second. And Esther, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Thank you. Back to you, Gerald.
So you will see a poll coming up here shortly from our Zoom master, and take an opportunity to vote for your favorite table topics participant. As an aside, my favorite Olympic memory is Miracle on Ice. That was insane back in the day. I even have the movie. I'll get right back to our Toastmaster now, Mike Licata.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Dr. Stevens. I do have to agree with a lot of people. Just being in the Northeast, I do prefer the Winter Olympics over the Summer Olympics. But in saying that, I do think the Summer Olympics gives us better stories because there's more countries, which means more participants, which means more events. And this year, the debut of breakdancing is now officially an Olympic event. So that just shows how it went from the more traditional athletic feats to they're definitely trying to cater more towards the newer television friendly events that will get people excited about the Olympics. It's also interesting that they actually had to move the surfing events in the French Polynesia, which is actually over 9,000 miles from Paris. So they will be in a separate location for the events this year. But I also found it interesting that surfing is one of those sneaky events that they authorized a couple of years ago, but they really haven't been featured on television. And with that, I will get into the meat of our meeting, which is our speaking portion. This morning, speaker one is Carol Ann Halstead, and her evaluator this morning is Joe Budnick. Joe, what will Carol Ann be speaking on? Joe, you're muted.
Hi,
Thank you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure what Carol Ann is speaking. Do you have her? Do you have?
I have her title. I think
title?
I have her title. I didn't under. She's doing. I think she's doing a Pathways elective level 3.
Okay.
And it was all on the website that she was gracious enough to put up yesterday. But if you want me to just, I can do a quick intro for her. If you want, it's fine, Joe.
Okay, so Carol Ann is doing
It's a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Okay.
I'm not. It's one of the boilerplate ones. Either it's the. But in that, Carol Ann is been with our Toastmasters Club for a couple of years now. She is working out. I'm not sure which pass she's doing, but I will just tell her, Madam Timer, excuse me, Mr. Timer. My apologies, Marty. The time is 5 to 7 minutes, and her speech title is "I can only imagine how you feel, but can I really?" Carol Ann Halstead.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and guest.
Oh, Jesus.
I am, my pathway is presentation mastery and connecting with the audience.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. I can only imagine how you feel, but can I really, if I haven't experienced what you have? I'm an only child, as my husband is, and we cannot imagine growing up in a household with the accompanying noise and shared space of a big family. I also lived at home until I was married. So unlike many of the people I went to high school with who went away to school and often ended up moving to where they went to school, or some of the girls met their husband in college and moved to where they were. So I never made that break from home. Now, my mother, who had a very soul to be, or very love of life, died at the age of 70 when I happened to be 49. And it was very difficult because she had never really been sick. So it was, she had a stroke and died of complications rather quickly. Now, my husband's mother died when he was 13. That is very hard to imagine how disruptive that would be to a teenager's life. And I know when I was a patient at Roswell, one evening I had to go to the assessment area because I was running a fever. And after chemo, this is can be a very serious complication because it means your white blood cells are very low. It wasn't until the next morning that I had a bed assignment. And as they were wheeling me up to my room on the lymphoma unit, I went by a room and the door was open and there was a gentleman lying in bed. And as I went by, he waved. And it was like he could understand what I was going through. And it was kind of welcoming, and I understand and care about you. And I know it's very difficult sometimes when you're talking to somebody who has had a recent loss. Particularly, I can't imagine what it'd be like to lose a child. But I think you don't know what to say, particularly like if you visit the funeral home or go to a funeral. However, I think just saying I'm sorry and being there is very important, even though, like I said, it's something that's hard to imagine. I remember when my father-in-law died, the girl next door, who was a young mom and very busy, brought us over a complete roast beef dinner a couple of days later, just to be helpful, and that was so appreciated. And quite a few years ago, one of my co-workers unfortunately found out in her late pregnancy, went for an ultrasound, found out that the baby had died in utero. And they told her that she was just to go home. The next day she was going to be induced. And here she knows that her baby has died. One of her other co-workers happened to be in X-ray at the time and heard this, knew what was happening. And she followed her home and sat with her. And the grieving mom mentioned after that it was just, it just meant so much that she just was there with her. Thanks to Dave Shannon, many of us took the American Sign Language course. And at that time, it was very hard to imagine what it'd be like to be part of the deaf community. I had a little taste of it not long ago when I had a severe sinus infection, which led to fluid behind my ear, on my right ear, and I could not hear out of that ear. If something, there was a noise on the right side, sounded like it was coming from the left, and my husband, if he was sitting to the right of me, I really couldn't understand what he was saying. And so I got to appreciate what that would be like. And I know my daughter last night, when I was telling her what my speech was going to be like, she said that she never understood how someone grieves so if they lost a pet until they had to put their dog down a few years ago. And she said, they were all devastated. and I think it's very important that they have groups like those for people who have drug addictions, alcohol addiction, or even a group for grieving people, because those people can really imagine what they're going through. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol Ann. I'm not sure what's going on technology-wise. We'll figure it out as we go, like we always do. Our Zoom masters do a tremendous job of adjusting everything. Our next speaker this morning is Les Robinson, and his evaluator this morning will be Jill Roaring. Jill, what's Les going to speak on this morning?
Well, truthfully, I'm not sure. He put a speech title up, but that was all that he put up. So I'm not sure what is involved in the speech. I'm not even sure of the length. But it is titled The Process.
Yes, I got the process as well. And he also gave me the speech length, Mr. Timer. Marty, the time will be 5 to 7 minutes. Les Robinson, The Process. Les Robinson, The Process.
No audio, Les, when you're muted.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yep. Okay, sorry about that. Before I start, I did email the forms over. I thought I attached it when I did the schedule. So Jill, you should have the evaluation form in your email, and I also sent it to Mike. All right, so I'll give. Did you get it, Jill? You can raise your hand if you didn't get it.
Don't know if I did or not. I haven't
near
checked my emails this morning.
Okay, don't worry about it. It's 5 to 7 minutes, and we can go from there. All right, I am ready. Today we're going to talk about the process. Now, very simple, very easy. I am the VP of Public Relations. I have done this job for many years with many different clubs and organizations. I started this back in the 90s. I've won many awards. I've been on TV, radio across the country. I've been on TV locally and in Rochester, been on the newspaper, been on the advisory boards of the Lockport Union Sun and Journal. That being said, back in the day, we could write anything we wanted. We would be on the Buffalo News, the Lockport paper, the Medina. Dave Licata already had the retailer locked up. So it was a win-win. Whatever we did, we could promote. Going forward to 2024, the dynamics of the media has changed dramatically. Union Sun and Journal does 5 days a week. They've cut their staff back. It's all on advertisement space. Community part of the paper has gone away. And at the end of the day, is it really worth it to put in a paper that has a shrinking audience? LCTV has a shrinking audience. Every media that I was very well versed at has gone down. So now, as a public relations, we become the underdog and to get our message out correctly. Now, jumping ahead to 2024, I sat through the training, and honestly speaking, they all had these great ideas. And well, if you want to really spend 9 hours a month building content, I don't have 9 hours. Now, flipping over to my career, it's called the Wheel of Communications. I get communication sources from 7 to 8 different informational sources, which I then rely out to my customers. So my interest structure is very simple, very easy. It works. At the officers meeting, I talked to Eric, and Eric has a good social media infrastructure set up. And as I talked to Eric, we both know once the structure is set up to upload your content takes minutes versus hours of writing it. I said, okay, so we've got that part done. So we've got the social media avenue handled. We can send the stuff over to the Union Sun and Journal, and it'll get in there when it gets in there. But I looked at it, said, okay, I use the Wheel of Communications. I get many different sources. It brings me in money. It brings me in clients. It's a win-win. I'm sitting here. I said, how can we take a process that every professional uses, organization, they use different sources, they have content for not a major organization. I mean, if we were $1 billion organization, we'd have our own team, but we don't. So I did a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I said, what is the strength? The club's been around. Weakness: Mr. Robinson is not going to spend 9 hours a month writing content. Opportunity: we have many members. The threat: members may not want to be involved. That all being said, I had to make this simple, easy, and fun. But the more complex you make it, the more or less likely it's going to fly. We have tried this before, and we had a very low participation rate. It didn't really work, and it got zero effect. So that being said, we revised it and said, what can everybody do to make this simple, to make this easy, to help to grow our club? Because as we bring new members into our club grows. Because more people that come in, the better we are as Toastmasters. So that has always been our goal as a group, to bring in new members. So as a whole, we become better communicators and better leaders. That being said, I now have boiled it down to 3 simple areas. Number 1, if you go to the schedule, you will see my email and my cell number. You can write why I joined Toastmasters, which will be roughly about 30 to 40 words. I don't want a paragraph. I don't want a book. I want 30 to 40 words. I also want what you got out of Toastmasters. You can email that to me. You can call me on that. Now, I am going to come back in September, and we have an 18 to 20 minute, which is going to expand this a little bit. Plus, we're going to have a little fun with this presentation. Now, when you complete a level, all right, email me to say, hey, I completed level 3. I just did this. Write me up a sentence or 2. And then what we'll do is we'll send it out to social media. If you don't want to be promoted, we don't have to do it. If you don't want to say why you joined Toastmasters, you don't have to email me. What you get out of it, you don't. But the more of us that can do something very simple, the more we can promote it. Then what we're going to do is add an opening title, our joining information at the bottom. We are then going to email it out to everybody to put on their social media. And then Eric is going to put it on our social media and share it. Now, our end goal is very simple and very easy. I'm looking to get 4 or 5 good little paragraphs. What I am then going to do is print them off. I'm going to do this old school. I'm going to send it to channel 2, 4, 7, and Spectrum, make a few phone calls, and see if we can get them, the TV networks, to come down on a Thursday morning in September or October to our organization and hit us for a 30-second or a 1-minute live remote. And if we can do that, that will help us promote our organization and hopefully bring in new members. It's a very simple, easy solution. As an organization, if you want to be involved, great. If you don't, no problem. But at the end of the day, everybody needs to be in this if they want. And the more active we are, the more successful club, and the more successful, the more enhanced Toastmasters we will be as communicators and leaders. If you have any questions, give me a call or an email. And I'll be following this up with my September speech. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, Les. Our next speaker this morning will be Marshall Song, and his evaluator will be David Jones. David, what is Marshall speaking about this week?
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow guests. He is speaking from the Visionary Communications Pathway Level 1, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. His title of his speech is From 7 to 19. I'm not sure if that's 7 to 19 years old or from 7 to 7 military time. It'll be interesting to see what it's about. So Marshall Song, From 7 to 19, 5 to 7 minutes.
I am a liar. In last speech, I said, in every 2 weeks, I will give a new speech in 8 clubs. But I haven't given my speech in more than 6 weeks. I need to borrow the excuse from my last speech. Oh, I was so busy recently and I lost my voice. Why I was so busy? The story began from 7 months before. I was chosen to be the president of Hongqing Toastmaster Club in my city. Why they chose a 10 months member to be their president? Is that because I was handsome? No. That's because that was an endangered club. We only had 7 members and $500. And these 7 members prepared to spend these $500 to have our last supper and close down this club. But I was also the area director. I served 3 clubs. If my home club closed down, that's shame, shame, shame. So I decided to save this underdog. First and foremost, I analyzed the weaknesses and the strengths of my club. We only had 7 members, and 6 of us joined the Toastmaster no more than 1 year. We only have $500, and our location is in a working area. We have to drive more than 1 hour from our home to there. Our strength is our venue is a 300 square meter luxury with Macau sea view. Please, beautiful place. And I have more than 500 friends in Toastmaster in different cities. And our members, they are elites, work for the international companies or government. Second, I made many internal changes, and I collected the purpose why they joined Toastmaster. And like learning English, public speech, communication, leadership, to find a boyfriend. Oh, sorry, I can't meet your girl. I'm the only single man here. I set a 3-level mentor system. So the freshman learn from medium from advanced. We direct them pathways, space, and the different rule of the meeting. And we made our meeting manager intern. And we write down very detailed list. I think even a stupid man can use 10 minutes to learn how to organize a meeting. We set our meeting for 2 hours, and at least we have 3 prepared speakers. And we set some interactive games. Thirdly, I asked the other clubs for help. I invited our district director, division director to be our club coach. I also invited the DTMs from different cities to make workshops in my club. It not only trained our members, but also attracted some guests. We also put many district division area events in our luxury venue. Last but not least, I made some innovation in the meeting format. For every month, we have one sports meeting. So you can spend 45 minutes to do like Pilates, yoga, Argentina tango, or Chinese kung fu, and then give your speech. For every month, we have one dinner meeting. We chose the many beautiful restaurants. So you can eat your beef steak, drink wine, and then give your speech. After the meeting, we can go to karaoke. Every month, we buy a cake to make a group birthday party for the members who were born in this month. And we also hold a new member ceremony. We prepare the gifts for them, and all the Toastmaster members stand up and read the Toastmaster promise together. In the end, the first 3 months, our member amount from 7 to 14. But in this April, for many reasons, half of them didn't renew. We went back to 7 again. Honestly, I cried. But we never give up. We kept trying. Finally, in the end of this June, our member from 7 to 19 members. And our distinguished club program from 2 points to 10 points. We got the president distinguished club. Look at this board. Yeah. And I also get the distinguished area muscle song. So can you forgive me for didn't give you speech in last 6 weeks? And now I have joined the 8 clubs. If any club is in need, do you want to give your hands to them? Remember, we are Toastmasters. Whatever happens, we will never give up. Fight, fight, fight. USA, USA, USA. Go back to Toastmasters.
Thank you. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Marshall. Mr. Timer, can we have a timer's report this morning?
Yes, Mike, Mr. Toastmaster, Carol Ann Halstead, 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Lester Robinson, 7 minutes and 12 seconds. And Marshall Song, 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Back to you, Mike, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. So a poll will pop up this morning to vote for Marshall or Carol Ann or Les. And I will continue on my theme this morning and finally finish highlighting that the Olympics once again will be on the NBC Universal family of networks. That means the main broadcast channel, NBC. That also means the USA Network. Completely unrelated, I got an email this morning from Peacock that the monthly rate will go from $5.99 a month to $7.99 a month. So I'm sure that has nothing to do with the Olympics coming up this month or the fact that they spent way too much money on the NFL broadcasting rights and they're getting back into the NBA. Anyway, that's my soapbox rant for this morning. The poll has been up And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, Tracy, this morning, who can introduce our evaluators. Or Tracy, would you rather have me do it this morning?
You know, I will introduce the evaluators. Can you call for the reports at the end of the meeting? I think that means yes, right? And we lost Mike. So I am going to call the general evaluators. Our first general evaluator is Mike Budd, and I'm Joe Budd, and he's going to be evaluating Carol Ann. Joe, can you tell us about Carol Ann's speech?
Yes, I can. Can everyone hear me? Cool. Thank you, Carol Ann, for a truly heartfelt speech this morning that truly came from the heart. It is a good lesson to learn how other people feel and to learn empathy, and I very much agree with that. And I'm glad that you brought that up. I was an only child too. I often wonder what it would have been like to have siblings, but that's something that I didn't know, but I was blessed to have cousins that I was close with. I like how you gave your a life story and you kept our attention. And it was particularly moving, the exchange between the other patient that you had when the other patient waved to you. That was truly heartfelt. I know it can be awkward, and I liked how you brought up how it can be awkward when you're trying to help someone through a hardship. What do you say to that person? You know, how do you respond? And I agree that, you know, just simply being there for someone and just having a helping hand can make all the difference in the world. I had an experience with the deaf community too when I took Introduction to Disabilities at NCCC. We had to go in public with a disability, like blindfold ourselves or put ourselves in a wheelchair. I chose to put earplugs in my ear to be deaf, to find out what that was like. It was a very lonely, isolating experience, and I learned a lot. If I had to say room for improvement, just watch your pauses and make it a little bit smoother, I would say. And that's something I'm working on too. But all in all, it was very moving. It was very heartfelt, and it came to the heart. And you taught us a lot of good lessons about empathy, understanding, being there for someone. Very valuable lessons in life that we all need to learn, that is very valuable for all of us when we are reaching out to help others. Thank you, Carol. Truly wonderful, truly inspirational. I look forward to your next speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Our next evaluator is Jill, and she is going to be evaluating Les Robinson. Jill, can you tell us how Les did today? Thank you.
Yes, I can. Les, wonderful speech today. You are not an underdog in speaking, and we all know that. You did a wonderful job at explaining what the problem was in trying to get our public relations aspect out. And I was there. I was public relations vice president there for a couple years ago when we were dealing with the Zoom and the Bewley building and who knows where we were going to be. And I had a tough time doing it because of that. You challenged all of us to be involved, to make it so that you can do something with your job, that we as a group can help you and make it more personal and hopefully get more attention that way. You did a good job at changing the subject of your speech. Thank you very much on that. But your ideas, they were so fantastic. They towered above us, just like the 12-foot tall buddleia or butterfly bush that I'm looking at. It should be that tall. But there was some couple areas where you could improve, and one of them is something we can all do here on Zoom, is our gestures are very difficult to do. It's hard. I would love to see you live because you almost always are on Zoom. And that would be because of that, we don't get to see you, and we don't get to see your full wealth of gestures. Another area, you had some filler words that I noticed a little bit more today. And thinking back, I've heard you use them before. You often said "that being said." And you also use "now" as a connector too often. But you had so much message beyond all those words that it was easy to overlook them. And hopefully you made all of us excited about doing something to help with the public relations of this Toastmasters Club, AM Lockport. So thank you, Les, for coming up with some wonderful ideas. And hopefully you'll have a wonderful report when you do the longer speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. That was wonderful. And David Jones, can you tell us about Marshall's speech? David Jones.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, and thank you, Marshall, for your speech. Your project was vocal variety and body language, and you exceeded those objectives. You had wonderful vocal variety and body language, which helped us understand what you were saying. You were doing the numbers, you were eating, you were drinking. So we could follow along even with the language gap. And it's very hard to do consciously. Body language on Zoom unless you're specifically doing. So you did great. And you also had great facial expressions, which is part of body language, but it also helped us understand your story. And I'll agree with whoever posted in the chat that your English is much better than when you first joined. It's just much better. That's all I'll say on that one. And you started with a great opening that captured our attention. You said, "I'm a liar." Anytime that you say anything like that, that's going to catch our attention, talking about giving speeches. I thought that was great. And throughout your whole speech, you were very humorous. You're a very funny person. You're laughing at yourself. I think at one time you even clapped at something you said, which is very animated and funny. Now, as the last time I evaluated this time as well, your only room for improvement, as far as I can see, is just to keep on doing it. You're obviously an experienced Toastmaster and a great speaker and entertainer. And I think that makes you kind of an underdog here because of the language differential. If you were giving this speech in Chinese, it would probably put us all on the floor laughing because we would understand and see what you're saying better. But now that you're translating, it's still a great speech. But just keep on to get to the perfect English so we can really appreciate all of your speeches. And also you had your prop. You had your area director award, which I thought was great, which lets us know that you are a Toastmaster. And your title, 7 to 19 members. I thought it was your age or the time, but no, you're talking about members in a club. So congratulations for getting to 19. And finally, like you said, shame, shame, shame. Never let your home club close, especially if you're a district leader. And I was just curious as to, you were an area director. Did you move up one notch to division director? That's the only question I would have had. But other than that, great speech. And we look forward to your next ones. Thanks, Madam General Evaluator.
I hope in the future I can be the division director in the US, Buffalo. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our evaluators. Can we get a timers report, Marty?
Yes, Tracy, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, all 3 evaluators qualified. Joe Budnick, 1 minute, 57 seconds. Jill Roaring, 3 minutes, 5 seconds. David Jones, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 27 seconds. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Marty. So we can vote for Joe, Jill, or David. I'm going to vote real quick. And then I guess I am going to do reports. I haven't seen Mike back online. The first report that we're going to call for is Dave. Dave, can you tell us about some of the questions and what we heard today?
Okay, not muted. Questions. The quizmaster today. I am okay. I'm unmuted. Okay. Questions. I was listening, and I have a few questions to see who else was listening. Len, when he was speaking in the table topics, did he start running in high school or did he start running in college? Does anybody know?
College.
College, right. And then did he how long does he run every other day? 20 miles, 10 miles, or
5K? 5K?
1 mile.
2 to 5 miles. Okay, let's move on. Esther. Esther's favorite Olympic memory. What's that? Oh,
she would get a
her favorite
medallion.
Olympic memory.
She would get a medallion from her uncle, the sports writer.
Right. I wish I had somebody in the business that could come back and speak about that. Okay, now let's move on to the first speaker. What did Carol Ann and her husband have in common?
They're both only child.
Boy, someone's been listening. That's absolutely right. Les Robinson, the process. What is the end goal that he would like to see?
Us get more members.
Right. And to write 4 to 5 paragraphs and send them to the what?
Spectrum.
All the media, all the radio and television stations, right. Newspapers.
So possibly they can come to one of our meetings in the fall and make a 30-second report so we can get out there, and the end goal is to get more members. Okay. I don't know how many more things I can ask you, how much time I have, but Marshall, I am so impressed with your English. I can't imagine how hard it is to learn English where you are. I mean, when I first started learning sign language, it was tough, but you are doing a great job, and you're very proud of what you've been doing. Now, my last question of the day is, we were wondering, what does 719 mean to Marshall? What was those numbers meaning? Does anybody remember? Right. He started with 7 members, and now he has up to 19. Congratulations. Congratulations to you, Marshall, and I hope to hear from you soon. All right. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. I guess it's going to be the general evaluator that takes it over. Our next report is going to be the Wagmaster. Kate, can you tell us about your job today?
I sure can. Good morning again, everyone, to our members, longtime members, newest members, and our guests today. So I was busy with the WAG Master doing all of these reports. Maybe the next quarter we can split these back up again. So there's a separate word master and a separate master grammarian. I didn't hear ahs and ums too much, but we still sprinkle those in more than we ought to. Instead of going member by member, I will again take a page out of Margot's book and go through some language. I would have thought that the word of the day was perhaps underdog or joie de vivre, like I said, but I think many of you thought that the word of the day was gonna. Really, gonna stuff, more or less likely. Gonna, being gonna, wanna, gonna, being gonna. What the heck? What the heck was happening, folks? We call that a dropped G. Instead of saying gonna, what should we say? Going. Instead of saying being. I would love to point out less. Most of our members either say the gonna or the diction going to. You were flawlessly moving back and forth between those. So I'm not sure what was up there. I appreciate your use of the word of the day, underdog, as a speaker. I think that your phrase of the day was that being said. I echo Jill. That being said, we usually stop counting ahs and ums at 5 for our members, and I stopped counting at 5. That being said, that was many. I love that you used the word of the day, however. Also, Marshall used underdog. Perfect use of that word, underdog. More importantly, bravo in resurrecting your club and reaching area distinguished. Fantastic. Jill, in her evaluation, used underdog. And Jill, you have a 12-foot tall butterfly bush. I planted one last summer, so it's still a baby. I have to come and visit. That is amazing. So that will be in my front yard eventually. And very big. All right, back to ahs and ums. Carol, I stopped at 5, and David Channon, I stopped at 5. So the ahs and ums, work on ahs and ums. Everybody else, just one here, one there. And I will end with the beautiful use of these following words: commemorative, aspirations, pastime, regards, feats, cater, boilerplate, tremendous, SWOT analysis, great work there, Les. Last but not least, heartfelt, empathy, hardship, consciously, differential, and medallion. Keep using strong words, and please use the words of the day, underdog and joie de vivre, later today after our meeting. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kate. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to give a short report about our meeting. I got to tell you, it went great. As I said, Mike was very, very organized at the beginning of the meeting. Had all of his roles lined up and ready to go. Our evaluators, they did some really good evaluations today. I was really impressed with all of them. They all started with a lot of compliments, encouraged our speakers, and every single one of them gave a little bit of an improvement, and some of them were very hard to offer improvement on. So I thought that they did a really good job. All of our evaluators and our speakers. So our speakers have to be a lot more cognizant about putting their roles on the agenda so the evaluators can follow up and do that. And then the evaluators, if that's not up there, follow up with your speaker so that you can do your job. So that's just one thing that I think we have to get a little bit better on. I noticed we had a lot of technology problems today, people not being able to mute. The joy of going back to Zoom and getting used to doing all of that again. But otherwise, we had a really good meeting and great topic. And I'm hoping we have a lot more like this. We're going to get back into our Zoom days again. I'm going to turn it over to Mike. I kind of hijacked his meeting and I didn't know if I was supposed to follow up with that or not. But Mike, you're back online, so I'll let you take over the meeting from here.
You did a fine job. Thank you, Tracy. And again, I want to thank all of our speakers, all our evaluators, all of our other role holders this morning for getting back to me so promptly and for confirming our roles as well. As part of the meeting, I want to go to our guest. We'll start with Therese. What did you think of our meeting this morning? If you want to just give us, maybe 1 or 2 sentences or 3 on what you thought of the meeting this morning.
I enjoyed it, and I apologize I didn't speak. Honestly, I'm not a big Olympic person. I guess yeah, I have nothing to say on the Olympics, so I apologize on that. But I like everybody's got. I love the stories that I heard. I enjoy it. I don't. Is that all I'm supposed to say? I mean,
that's fine, Therese. Thank you for giving us your opinion. And going forward in our AM Lockport Club, we don't apologize. We just take the lumps when we can and whenever we do. So you're more than welcome to refuse as a guest with table topics. We just use it as it's a great tool. It's a great learning tool in becoming a better public speaker. So The other thing we don't do in our club is we don't apologize. And I will turn it over to Esther. What did she think of our meeting this morning? I'll turn it back over to Esther.
Yeah, it's wonderful attending for the second time. There's nothing like starting to build familiarity as far as the format and the roles are concerned. Yeah, it's just been wonderful spending time with you all this morning, and I look forward to continuing to do so.
Thank you very much. And I will announce our winners this morning. Our best table topic speaker was Esther. So congratulations. Our best evaluator is David Jones. And our best speaker this morning was Marshall. So congrats to all three. I want to thank them again for being such great speakers this morning. I'm sorry, a tremendous strength of our club, like Marshall said in previous speakers, is having the ability to have 3 speakers every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our club president, Eric Schneider, who has an announcement this morning. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you very much. Good to see you all. I just want to make this short and sweet real quick. Tonight again, us over at Kean Center. I'll be there early, so come find me. I'm not hard to miss. So it's at 7 o'clock. We'll run for about an hour. And it's Midsummer's Night Dream, if I'm not mistaken, right, Kate? All right. I see your head shaking. Yep. All right. Beautiful. And also this Saturday is the Lockport Chalk Walk along Canal Street. And I will be there as do a chalk drawing in memory of our Toastmaster, Deb Franco, and come and support other talented artists who are going to be coming this weekend. So it's from 9 to 5 along the canal, and look forward to seeing you there. And if there's any other announcements from the floor. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. It's 8:17. Stick around for Post Toasties and have a good weekend. Thank you all.